Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, I decided to do this random stream because I had anything better to do right now. And I wanted to talk about a few things. But before I get started, I am going to send out the link to the StreamYard in case anybody wants to join. So here it is in the chat, and I'm going to do it in Twitter as well. So yeah, we're going to talk about all sorts of different things, and essentially what's just been going on. So, hey, Ryan, good to see you. Just sending out the link to certain groups on Twitter. Random stream on my channel. Boom. It's a little late for me to hop on a stream, but I thought I'd say hi at least. I'm doing good, right? It's just a night that I thought I'd do a stream because I had nothing better to do. And figured why not invite anybody on. I do want to discuss the rock thing, see if anybody wants to really discuss that. Come on now. There we go. Stream on my channel. But yeah, I ordered a book today on Amazon, Courtship of Princess Leia, because OG Star Wars is going to be doing a stream on that at the end of the month, and I actually would love to be a part of that because that's actually one of my favorite books. And yeah, it's one of the greater novels, standalone novels, really, of the Star Wars EU. And well, yeah, even though it will have the stupid Legends stamp on it, I will still at least have a copy of it that I can read from so I can join the stream and whatnot. Also, other things going on in my life. Dracula versus Morbius. I got DBZ Kakarot installing on my Xbox one I got it for Christmas. Nice. Hi there, follow you here and there on Odyssey. I had no idea that I was even still going on Odyssey because honestly, I haven't checked Odyssey in a while. So thank you, Thunderduck, for following me on there. What do you think of the Moon Knight trailer? Could it be a surprise hit like Superman and Lois? I hope so. Trailer looked great. I saw the trailer, and honestly, while I thought it looked decent, I do have concerns. Moon Knight is not a superhero. Moon Knight is an anti-hero. And I really do hope that they do um I really hope that they really establish that he is a killer. He has no qualms about killing. And yeah, I basically because I was introduced to Moon Knight through a game called Avengers or Marvel's Avengers Alliance, and I really liked his character. His character had kind of like semi copycat moves where he would, or a little bit of Spider-Man like moves, but also a little bit of other people's moves too. Not their moves particularly, but similar because he used whatever he could to do whatever he had to. He had moon or crescent moon throwing stars. He had a grappling hook. He was kind of like Batman, but instead of the Dark Knight, he was the Moon Knight. And I don't think he was insanely rich, but he essentially was an anti-hero that would beat the hell out of people and even kill him at points. So I am looking, or I'm curious about it. I just don't know exactly how well it will do. Unlike Hawkeye or Loki, there's no female replacement with him. Like or maybe Chapek put a stop to the whole woke shit with this one. I hope for the best it goes. I hope for the best. If it goes south, no surprise. Yeah, thing is with or even with the shortcomings of the show Loki, the one thing I will give them credit for is that they actually did depict the Infinity Stones correctly. And I feel that a lot of people unjust or who went after their depictions of the Infinity Stones on Loki really didn't know about the cardinal rule of Marvel, which is all or every universe has Infinity Stones. So you can't just if you had or if you had them all, you couldn't just cross over into another universe. They would go inert if you did. It's also part of the amalgam rules as well because Darkseid got his hands on the gauntlet and the stones. They didn't work for him. They were, or the power was there, but he couldn't access it because they were not in their home universe. As for DBZ Kakarot, if that is a fighting game, I'm actually, if it's one of those updated fighting games, I hear it sounds pretty good. Although the last fighting game from the DBZ universe that I played was Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the PS2. I really liked those games. I kind of wish I still had them. But yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of my stuff back then. I had to get rid of my uh, consoles and a lot of stuff because, well, I didn't want that temptation in my life where I would just sit around and play video games all day because, yeah, before my incarceration, I was very freaking lazy. I had very little to do in life, you know. Nowadays, I have more purpose in my life, and I'm trying to do what I can to help others and to do other such things. And you know what? I'm about to do something crazy. Why is this not letting me post this? This is weird. I admit I kind of liked Hawkeye. I thought it was bad. Chemistry was good between Renner and Steinfeld. Love the first two Kingpin scenes. Honestly, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. It just looks great, and no one thought Superman and Lois would do well. Superman and Lois's first season, I heard, was good because they actually kept the woke crap out of it. I'm hearing the second season is pushing the woke narrative, or at least trying to, and it's crashing burning. Oh, apparently I already posted it. Just going. Interesting. Yeah, let's see if anything, or if it actually did jump on or put go on. Yep. Okay. Good. That was weird. But yeah, if anybody could share out the stream and whatnot, smash that like button. That would be great. So apparently, Matt Murdock is now, or Netflix Daredevil, Matt Murdock is apparently going to be canon, the character, not the series. So that's a thing. But one of the things I did want to talk about is the Joe Rogan and The Rock. So everybody knows the whole Joe Rogan thing with Spotify, and apparently Rumble just offered Joe Rogan for a 4-year, $100 million contract with them to bring his show there. And honestly, that or no censorship and whatnot, I think, or I'm gonna have to look at Rumble to see what it's like. I'm sticking with Odyssey right now. I can't watch movies here in Germany if I'm not vaxxed or recovered. I'm telling you, the crap with the boosters and the vaccination mandates and whatnot, it sucks. It's an interesting deal. As for The Rock, or when Joe Rogan gave an inch and decided to semi not really apologize, but he did anyway. Cancel culture went for The Rock, and then he bought into it because he didn't want to be canceled. And then he's like, "Oh my god, I didn't know that Joe Rogan was such a racist." It's like, yeah, but what the fuck did you do recently or back in the day? Oh yeah, that's right. You made some very bad slurs yourself there, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. And the thing is, semi-political ahead, folks. Dwayne the Rock Johnson did say that he was going to explore the possibility of running for president in the future. He just killed any chance he may have had because he chose censorship over free speech. And that will come back to haunt him if he ever does run, because people will be reminded of that. And I'll be one of the people to actually remind people of that. You do not freaking advocate for censorship and run for president, because we all know your position now. We all know your position, that you chose to advocate for censorship because, oh, you didn't want to be canceled on Twitter. Like Twitter is of any consequence. Like I said, I will gladly get myself kicked off of Twitter if our VP ends up taking the White House. As I said, I will use a very derogatory, however factual, hashtag if Kamala Harris does ever obtain the White House as president. Hopefully that will never happen. My arm's starting to hurt now, so that's expected. But yeah, I had to get a booster today. Not very happy about that. But I did it because family members that I am around often are immunocompromised. And it was to put their mind at ease. Believe me, folks, I am all for the choice of getting the vaccine and boosters and whatnot. You have the choice and such, but honestly, you should have that choice without consequences. Because the way I see it, it is a freedom that we have to choose. However, we should not be held to oppressive account if we choose not to do as tyrannical ambition decides otherwise. So yes, honestly, I had to get the booster. Apparently, they said that whatever side effects you had from your vaccination, you will most likely get the same ones from the booster. And I'm like, oh, great. So I'm going to get a beat down, or my body's going to physically feel like it's getting beat on. And I'm going to basically have body aches. I'm going to feel like I'm drunk, and possibly have, or it's probably going to feel like I have a solid hunk of rock in my right side for about a month. So yeah, that's something. Anyway, how is everybody in the chat? Thunderstruck, right, Kitty, a third person I'm seeing in the chat. How is everybody? Oh, looks like I had a message from somebody. Wonderful timing. Jason and I are starting our stream. Oh, yeah. A friend of mine, Christian, is going live too. That sucks, but you know what? Decided to go live, and I have no regrets. Whee! Oh, you better not have gone live right now, bub. I'm about to go to bed. It's 2 a.m. over here in Germany. Well, you have a wonderful sleep. I was actually born in Germany, Thunderduck, but you have a wonderful sleep, and hope you sleep well. Just because someone is afraid irrationally doesn't mean I have to destroy my health. Family or not, I don't care. My health, my life comes first. Free choice is vital. Indeed. However, I also know that my health is not too much at risk right now. Oh, everybody is going over on Twitch. I might actually get a Twitch thing going, but I'm not ever going to monetize over there. Really? Where were you born? Bremerhaven, actually. I was born in Bremerhaven because my mother and father were stationed over there, and they were U.S. military. So I was technically an American, but I was also half and half until I was 18. I had dual citizenship, which I chose to be a U.S. citizen after I turned 18. Well, because all my family was over here, and I had no idea what I would be doing if I had to go to Germany. And I've never been out of the United States since I came here, so yep. Bremerhaven, coastal guy. I do not speak German or read German very well. I only know a little bit. Kleine Deutsch of German, a little bit of German. Good thing you are not here right now. Yeah, I hear it. Believe me, I do. Europe is basically in turmoil because of all the COVID restrictions and whatnot. Pity they don't have I'm a Berliner, what JFK said. Nice. But yeah, I have a friend who's military and he's actually DOD over in Germany. He's actually been on one of the random streams earlier. Demago, he's a pretty good guy. I just don't want him to drink and come on here again because that is going to be a no-no for now on. Anybody who goes on my channel, you're going to be sober or you're not going to come on. It's just really that simple nowadays. I have no patience for inebriation on a stream. Oops. But yep. Anyway, you have yourself a good sleep there, Thunder Duck. I don't want to keep you any longer than you have to, especially if you have to get up and whatnot. But yep, seems that Darth Nihilus will be hopping on after he's done some dinner prep. So that's awesome. Ugh. What is going on, people? Uh-oh, what's going on? Huh. But yep. Oh, looks like the Canadian Prime Minister is being a little bitch. Oh, you're off tomorrow. That's cool. Uh, or rather, today for you. Yep. Individuals are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy. You don't have a democracy up there in Canada, folks. I'm sorry. But all those restrictions that the convoy was protesting are essentially that of a dictatorship. We are close, or we are closing in on that kind of crap here in the United States, which I'm hoping a convoy comes into DC to protest a lot of crap that they're putting out. The then 2 late shifts. I had 11 night shifts in 15 days. Extra money, no work. Best time. Okay. Check Rumble. You might grow there too. I'll think about putting my stuff on Rumble. I wish there was a way that I could do the same as Odyssey, which is putting all my stuff over there as well. I'm eventually thinking about getting StreamYard so I could do or actually going to the $20 a month plan for StreamYard so I can do the multi-streaming platform thing or multi-platform streaming thing. That way I can... Oh, it does allow synchronization. Well, that's pretty cool. So I'll definitely have to check it out. Might take a long time, but hey, you never know. I would like to run a hypothetical, though. It says on their page to connect with YouTube. Interesting. I will definitely check it out then. But yes, there is a hypothetical I would actually like to run with people. I did it too. I have no vids, but I set everything up. Interesting. I will check it out. But yeah, my hypothetical for people. Say you are asked to watch some kids over a few month period, like 3 to 4 months. You are told that you'll be paid fairly and when available, when able, promise of payment. And they tell you that you can stay at their house and whatnot. Then, well, something happens. You decide that, well, a promise of payment is no longer good enough. Also, for or in hindsight is 20, or hindsight is often 2020. Now, they feel that um they feel that using their resources like heat and well, they also have console gaming and whatnot and such is or also having food there, which honestly I skipped both breakfast and lunch there so as not to draw on their resources like that. They think that that goes against your payment as a babysitter. Now, this is not pointed out to you until after the fact, and they think that fair compensation, I mean, when you also take into account that their other alternative is for each kid or for two kids, a month is like $1,000. And I was asking or thinking about having it for 500 a month because, well, I do have to do things and whatnot. And I was thinking about having it 500 a month or help building or and procuring a new PC and such as payment. And well, they didn't like that. So, and they also basically were doing exorbitant spending. I mean, I'm not going to get into too much details, but there was one time that they wanted me to work on my day off. I did originally say I would, but I just got sick and tired of it because I offered a solution or a possible solution or alternative, and they automatically declined. And I needed to go home each weekend in order to wind down. It was my day off. And yes, it was stressful because during those 3 months of watching the kids and all, you do get stressed, especially somebody like me. Now, there were actually times that I had to fight off panic attacks because of the stress. Not that the babysitter cared about such things like that. In fact, they actually believe that all my problems that I have had in my life are fake. How you doing, Annihilus? Now, um, after I told them that I wouldn't charge for the fourth month and that they could pay me over time, and I gave them the price tag, they decided to call it quits. Well, I also did active research on how much the going rate an hour is for babysitting with a person of a little bit less than my experience. Now, I was asking for $500 a month, where the going rate is around 10 times that much, almost $5,000 a month. But it was family, and I decided I would cut them slack. I would even not charge as much as, well, their alternative, which was $1,000 a month. So we ended up getting into a big argument over it, and a bridge has been burned. I'm not going to go into, they're allowed to make their own decisions, but here is the hypothetical, or here is the question. Should the fact that I was staying there and having a meal at the time, and yes, using the Xbox, which was not used as often as they thought and such, should all that be used against my, or taken into account against my payment? Don't be too sorry, Annihilus. It happens to all, or to many people. Or is that all a part of babysitting? So, to reiterate, staying there, heat bill, food, and whatnot, which I skipped breakfast and lunch during the time that I was staying there, so as not to draw on their resources too heavily. Also, a little bit of gaming here and there, and whatnot. Should that have been counted against compensation? Or, again, is that part of the babysitting? So, yeah, that is the question. Because they seem to think that drawing on their resources is not able, or is not, or is reason enough to not compensate me during the time. Now, here's the thing, that day that they wanted to have me take a day off, well, they were planning no kid time. And as parents, well, here's the thing. When you have a 1 and 3-year-old, no kid time, I understand the want for something like that and having it every now and then. But when you are spending $600 for a date night and choosing to not pay me for 3 months, when you obviously have the means in order to do so, how is that fair? And so also, another time that really pissed me off was that when the mother was there and the kid, or in the 1 and 3-year-old, were asking, or were clearly wanting her attention, she had to do laundry and whatnot. And she tells them that she will cuddle with them right after laundry. Yet, when she does finish laundry, she goes upstairs for the night, leaving me to contend with them, while that same 1 and 3-year-old are actively looking for their mother, asking, "Where is mommy?" and whatnot. How is that appropriate? So I do ask myself, was I being used at the time? And my conclusion is yes, I was used. I have not received any compensation for those 3 months that I had worked, nor will I. Like I said, the bridge has been burned, and other things have happened. But I do honestly think that a lesson is to be learned here. Hello, Captain Trek. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going over the hypothetical. Don't know how much you caught.
No, I had just was coming on.
Well, essentially over the last 3 months, from November to January, I was babysitting and essentially was being used. Um,
Mhm.
to give you a recap, I was allowed to stay at the house because there was sometimes that they would be working overnight, so I had to watch the kids. And I was able to use their Wi-Fi and their gaming. It was for family. I would skip breakfast and lunch every day for 3 months so as not to draw too heavily on their resources so that they would be able to feed their kids and not have too much problem with me.
Right.
Um, heat expenses and whatnot, which, well, they're using to heat their house, so that's also for the kids. They're saying that my time playing video games and whatnot, which I didn't do as often as they seem to suggest. Um, Also, the fact that it's family, they seem to think that, and they promised to pay me when able. And they wanted me to work on my day off, which I only had one day to essentially wind down because this is a 1 and a 3-year-old plus two or an 8 and a 10-year-old. These are 4 kids. Their kids will be kids, so it comes with it comes with the amount of stress that comes with 4 kids and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Now, somebody with me or in my handicaps and whatnot, you have a certain I have had panic attacks while there. Not that this family member believes I have any panic attacks or any problems with me whatsoever over the years, even though, well, yeah. But they were going to use that, or they were going to spend $600 on a date night on my day off, and they expected me to watch their kids. Now, initially, I did agree until I thought about it, and I decided, no, this is my day off. I need that time to wind down. I need that time to relax so that I can refresh myself and come back later.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to think, and because I said the price tag is $500 a month, this was after or right before the whole problem ended up resulting in a burned bridge. Because they said we'll pay you when able, yet they have the means to do it during those 3 months. But they never did. Then they're saying that, oh, you get to eat our food, you get to play my games, and you get to do this and that. Should that, which is all a part of babysitting, when you are at that or doing that kind of situation, that's all part of babysitting and whatnot. So again, I skipped meals in order to not tax their resources. And yet I was asking for $500 a month when their alternative, the person who they usually use, charges $1,000 a month. $250 a week.
Yep.
So honestly, I thought that was fair compensation. Well, they
Mm-hmm.
seemed to think that it was not because it was family and I was doing this for family, and spending time with the kids was also compensation enough. Now, while that sentiment is very good in the 90s and early 2000s even, this is 2022 or 2022, and I'm sorry, but just because it's family does not mean it's free. I
No, what?
understand that certain things are going on, and I did tell my family member, you can pay me over time so that it is not too stressful for you.
Mm,
But even
right.
then, they said no. So, do you think I was being essentially used?
Yes.
Yeah. And I have gone over this with other family members, all of whom actually agree with me. And I have gone over this with other friends who have also agreed that's like, yeah, you are being used. There is a certain point to family, yes. And like I said, when you break all the calculations down, 5,000, almost 5,000 a month is the going rate for the area I'm in.
Hmm.
Yet, I was willing to take 1/10 of that as payment, which is also half of what their alternative or their original setup was for. And it's like, this was more than a fair uh, request. But they
Agreed.
decided to say, nope, fuck that, you're done. Nope. And yeah, screw you. So yeah, I have not received any payment. I'm not going to pursue any payment because I honestly don't want it going any further with problems. But I do feel that I should ask people, do you think that in this sort of situation, what happened was me being used?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it would be one thing if you were talking like a weekend. You were there for a couple days, and it's like, oh well, you don't mind. Oh, go ahead. Play the games, spend time with the kids, hang out, that kind of thing. Go ahead and eat some food. No big deal. You know,
Yeah.
period of time you were there though. That's no.
But yeah, it's like I'm watching these kids for 3 months plus a fourth month, which honestly shouldn't have even been considered because, well, the person you usually have should have been healed by then because their original babysitter was injured and, well, it seems that their injury hadn't yet fully healed, so they were going to have me work into February. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't, and I even told them I will not charge for February so as to actually offset the resources in air quote that I had taxed from you. So it's like, and they still got into all pissy and whatnot. And it's like, I could easily call out a lot of other things, but I'm not going to do that on here. But they had done a lot of shit that I considered was way wrong. Like one, when the mother was actually home for the night, um, technically when a parent is home, I should be off the clock. But they had me there still watching the kids and whatnot. And she told her 1 and 3-year-old, after I'm done the laundry, I will, or you guys can come upstairs and cuddle for the night and whatnot. Well, she gets done and she goes straight upstairs without taking the kids. And those kids are looking for her actively. A 1 and 3-year-old asking about mommy, even crying a few times and whatnot. So it's like, yeah, well, that's wrong. And I didn't even go to bed until almost 1 o'clock that night, which every morning I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning. This was during January at the time, in order to get the kids up and ready, or the older two up and ready for school. So yeah, um, my family member got home at 11:30, and yet they don't come down until 12:45 to get their two youngest to go to bed. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? They were already asleep, the two youngest. One fell asleep in my arms, the other one was on the couch. And it's like, this is insane. You lied to your child or to your two youngest children, saying, and they were calling for you for 2 hours. And yet you two decided to do whatever in your time upstairs. I mean, I could guess, but I'm not really going to get into that. And yet, you expect me to take my time off so that you can go on a date night with no kid time, in air quotes. Excuse me, but you guys seem to have been doing that a lot. Yeah, doing date nights on days that I'm actually supposed to be going home, because I usually would go home Friday. And yeah, I even chose not to charge, again, Fridays, because my babysitter would have to drive 2 towns to go home, to take me home and to pick me up, so as to offset the gas price for the trip as well. So yeah, there's that as well. And yet they still had a problem. But you know what? I will live with my decision. And one of the things they said is that if you do this, if this is the route you choose to go, you will never see the kids again. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. As much as I am a family-oriented person, and I love my family, do not get me wrong, I absolutely love my family. But I have spent 9 months in a jail for a crime I didn't commit, and had very sparse interactions and visitations from family. Here and there I had visitations. However, I had to go without family contact for essentially 9 months. Do you not think that with how screwed up I have become because of jail, that I cannot turn it off for longer? If I have to, I could turn it off for years and go years without seeing that family member and their kids if necessary. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But they seem to think that that sort of threat was going to work. I have a lot of trauma because of my incarceration, which, for those of you who are paying attention to this, if you want to know what I went through, just go to my channel, look up Time for a Serious Discussion. It should, or that's the video that will tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, it's like, I got used by family. So obviously that bridge is burned. I have ceased contact with that family member. And right now I'm just back with my mom, helping her out with her stuff, and living here and paying rent and all that stuff. I mean, then I find out that that family member, through a mutual friend, says, says that all my mental problems have been faked over the many years that I have been alive. I have been faking having a mental handicap. I have been faking my PTSD. I've been faking all of this. And I'm like, that just ensured that I will never talk to them again. So yeah, that's where I've been over the last 3 months, for anybody who has been curious. And no, I don't want anybody disparaging my family member. It is their choice. They decided to make that choice. I decided to make mine. And yes, this was probably in poor taste to air this out in a stream, which most likely I will make private afterward. But I still do believe that I was used and I wanted other people's opinions on it.
Yeah. That definitely sounds like you were used. They took advantage of a situation and, oh, okay, sure. And they saved money.
Oh yeah, they definitely saved a lot or enough money because, well, like I said, I won't be paid for any of the work that I did over the last 3 months. But moving on to other topics, what you been up to?
Well, let's see here. Having to get a new computer.
Yeah, I hear that.
I was having problems with my other computer, was lugging it around because I had to do something in the kitchen. And I forgot I had the battery pack in my pocket, which was attached to the computer. Started to walk away, turned to walk away, and the computer ended up on the floor. And I heard,
Yikes.
well, screen went bye-bye. So, yeah, I will have a new computer on the 14th. Yay. Until then, I've been graced with the use of a Chromebook, which allows me to get online some, but yeah, doesn't really do a lot.
Yeah. Chromebooks.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not unappreciative. I'm really not. It's just I'm used to being able to do everything on my computer, and yeah, this doesn't allow for that.
Yeah. Sorry if I just turned the stream on or on YouTube because I had to save it to my random stream playlist. And like I said, because this is discussing a personal matter, I will most likely tune this stream into or turn the stream private because honestly, it really isn't something that should be put out there. Now that I think about it, it is kind of in poor taste, but still, there are things that I do want other people's opinions on, you know?
Well, you're not giving enough information that you're not like saying, "Hey, call these people, write these people." You're
Yeah,
just
I would
saying, "Look,
never.
this happened.
I would
This is
never
the
actually go
general
there.
situation." Yeah. Well, no,
But
that would
yeah,
be in poor taste. But you're saying, "Here's the general situation, and I want your opinion, your
yeah.
perspective on it."
And I'm not even revealing who they are specifically either. So,
No,
and
nor should you.
nor should I. And even though I have every right to hate this person, I still won't do that. But yeah, and then I've also had other family members complain about me and whatnot, and they're like, "You shouldn't swear all the time. If you keep on swearing, well, maybe we should reevaluate our contact with each other." And I'm like, okay, okay. This is where I am going to draw a line. And I basically, because this is, or it's on Facebook where I stick, or where I maintain contact with family and friends. And I decided that I had had enough of people trying to dictate how me, a 37-year-old, lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm not afraid to share this either. Let it load. And I decided to just put a post up. And it's like, folks, if you want to take part, or no, wait, that's not it. That's not it. There we go. And I said, this goes out to family, friends, and acquaintances. Over the last year, I have lost friends and others due to bridge burning for reasons of them not accepting a simple truth that I am not here to live by their expectations, but my own. Each person who wanted me to change an aspect about my life ended up cutting contact because they couldn't accept that I refused to change for one person. And many of these things are about very inconsequential things. Things like swearing. Well, I swear a lot. But believe it or not, my blood pressure and stress go down when I use swear words. I vent often using swear words. I can tone it down, but I will not stop it outright. If you can't handle that, well, too bad. Things like my mental handicaps. I cannot suddenly be not handicapped. I'm aware of my limitations. It is better that you stop trying to push me past my limitations and thinking I've been faking all my problems over the years is an automatic bridge burn. Things like my PTSD. I got physically and mentally screwed up while I was unjustly incarcerated. I was beaten for no other reason than being white, which actually, yeah, that happened. I have been harassed for simply being in protective custody due to the charges that were levied against me. Times where I couldn't even sleep because of constant talking through the vent system. If anybody who's been in jail, all the vents are linked. So essentially, if there's a real asshole above you in the building and they want to talk through the vents to other people, well, yeah, they could choose to do it all night and not get in trouble for it. I have been lied about, which has made me deeply mistrustful and suspicious, and very untrusting if you violate my trust only once. I have to work out that PTSD stuff on my own. Well, I also have friends and whatnot. Things like my picky eating. And this is something that pissed off a couple of other family members. And I told them, I'm an adult. I eat what I like and do not eat what I do not like. It really is that simple. When I was living with my aunt a while back and went out to family social events, they didn't force me to eat things I didn't like. They actually accepted it without griping. Certain people can take note of that and learn from it. And then I said, it's like, if you cannot accept any of this, that is your problem, not mine. If you want to cease contact and burn a bridge, well, there's a consequence of such actions. I will cease to care about you in an absolute way, meaning if you get injured, I will not care. If you pass on, I will not shed a damn tear. If you think that I will suddenly, after a few years, start talking with you if you contact me, you'll be mistaken. Like I said, I have been screwed up from my incarceration. I have had very sparse visitation in that time from family and friends. So I know, or so I now know who those who care about me are. But if you think cutting yourself out of my life will matter because of your own choices, you will find that I can easily turn off that part of me that once cared for you, because it seems to me that you never cared about me as a whole, but only one aspect of me. And one of my family members is like, contacts me and they're like, okay, well, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like, for what? Thinking that you were just an immature prick. I'm like, well, now you know. Because they were the one that hated me because of my swearing and whatnot. And it's like, if you want to, and everything in that post, I mean, if a person decides to cut themselves out of my life, I can go that deep and just cut off caring. It sucks that I am able to do that. I don't like that I can do that, but I can flip that switch. I don't like the fact that I have lost friends, even in this community, because of their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I'm not going to name names, nor do I ever want to. I do not give two shits about anything that goes on in their lives because they decided that I was no longer worth their time or they decided that I was too much of a burden for them. I honestly am who I am. I am a very loyal person. I will be or if I am your friend, I don't take that lightly. I'm very oriented towards loyalty. If you are loyal to me, I am loyal to you. If you screw around with me in a way that is underhanded, I'm done.
Yep. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And it's just, that's how I am nowadays. If I had never have been incarcerated, chances are I would have been as naive as I was before my incarceration. But I had to basically grow up a lot because of that incarceration. When you are in jail, folks, and this goes for anybody who's listening, when you are in jail and you are being attacked physically, when you are being harassed and treated inhumanely, you have to confront some truths about yourself. You have to dig down deep into yourself to find the strength to come out of that, especially if you are mentally handicapped. Believe me, before I was in this community, before I found the people in this community, like Captain Trek, Ambassador, the Phantom Menace, and all them. How you doing, CGH? Before I found any of you guys, I had to crawl out of that depression from after my incarceration. I didn't have the community at the time. I didn't know any of you guys at the time. But I had to crawl out of that depression. And yeah, there are still times that I get depressed a lot. There are times where I have to leave social situations because of the panic attacks that I have. There are times where I am more stress-free on here than I am in physical appearances. That's why I don't attend meetups, because I do not know how I will handle them. And I don't want any of the people that I'm going to meet thinking there's something really wrong with this guy, you know? Because if I do go to a meetup, chances are the stress will start building and building and building, and I will leave the area so that I don't have a panic attack and whatnot. Like I said, if I could go to those meetups, I would. But I physically can't, because there is a chance that I will have a panic attack that could, in all intents and purposes, possibly hospitalize me. But yeah. Anyway, now that I'm done the personal stuff, how is everybody in the chat? And if you guys want to come on, let me put out the link.
I have to admit, I get a little jealous of the, hearing about some of the people. It's like, oh, we're going to this meetup. Oh, we're going to this meetup. Part of it is I can't. I can't. Money is not there, and
well, that's also a problem.
There's a little bit of jealousy, but part of it is I'm also uncomfortable. So I'd be like, and I'd rather be seen as kind of a prick than being afraid to go.
The whole thing is, be who you want, or be yourself. I mean, yeah, I've met another YouTuber, Ian Slater, the podcast with Ian Slater. I love that dude. He is awesome. He's my brother from another mother. And we met while I was staying down helping my aunt in Syracuse. And he's a trucker and whatnot. And me and him actually got to meet each other. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome, you know? So, yeah, meeting one or two YouTubers at a time is all well and good. But going to a humongous meetup where I'm like, no, that might be not too smart, you know? Not stuff I like to talk about, but I'm always open to bringing it up whenever others are suffering. Yeah, and that's completely understandable, CEGH. I believe me, a lot of the stuff that this stream will actually be privatized when I'm done because I did bring up topics that honestly would be considered in poor taste. Um, but I did want other people's thoughts about it. So after a few days, I will privatize it and basically not let it be for consumption unless a person asks about it, you know? Hey, lovely Sherry, how you doing?
The lovely Sherry. Good evening.
She got her poster that I sent today, or that I
Cool.
sent earlier last week. She won a Ghostbusters Afterlife theater poster, and
Awesome.
yep, I'm thinking about trying to get more posters from the theater or my small town theater, so that I can do more giveaways and whatnot. Because that is something that I did last year and the year before. And yep, yes, she did, and she appreciates it. But yep, hopefully you'll get that thing framed and enjoy the hell out of it. Because nobody likes to tack a poster onto a wall anymore, you know?
No. No.
Especially a
Uh,
Ghostbusters Afterlife poster, you know? That
you
one
know,
you
if
definitely
I could
want
go
framed.
back, if I could go back, and I remember posters I had when I was a kid, and stuff that it's like, yeah, you know, did what we did back then, just use subtext
Yep,
or little whatever. It's like, oh, why the heck did I do that?
I know, right? So, did you hear about the Joe Rogan and The Rock thing?
No, I didn't.
Well, apparently, Joe. Well, do you know about the Joe Rogan thing?
Right? Yeah.
Well, he attempted to kind of apologize without apologizing. He gave an inch to the
Uh,
cancel culture mob, and The Rock commented, and then cancel culture went after The Rock for saying, "Yeah, sure, I'll definitely join and whatnot." And he's like, and then people cherry picked certain things he said in his previous podcasts and showed it to The Rock, and it's like, oh, so you're taking everything out of context. And yet The Rock ate it up, and he's like, thank you for this educational experience, brother. And I shared this before knowing about this stuff and whatnot. It's like, didn't you say that you might be exploring a possible presidential run sometime later and whatnot? Because here's the thing, you just killed any shot you had at becoming president because you chose to side with censorship rather than freedom of speech. Yikes. And believe me, I was going to do a Joe Rogan video about it or about The Rock and whatnot, but then I realized that Joe Rogan actually caved into giving an inch. And while Rumble is giving him a $100 million 4-year contract, which is all well and good, it's like, yes, just don't ever apologize for shit like that again. Never give in to that stuff.
nope.
Like CJH says, never give in to or an inch to the cancel culture. And yeah, I've had depression and bipolar basically all my life and had a few moments in my life where I attempted my own life and it's rough, but eventually you get through it and think all of the think all the positivity. Yeah. People showed those people the clips of Joe Rogan saying the N word And people were like, context, but then go and say that there can't be context in Joe Rogan's case. Of course there can be context. And here's something that a lot of people don't know. I did this in a Demi Lovato video where she was saying that calling aliens or extraterrestrials aliens is bigoted. Here's folks, and yes, these are going to be highly offensive words, but I am explaining this for educational purposes. I do want to make this clear. The N-word later became known as a derogatory for black people. However, before that, all it ever meant was an ignorant person. So there are things that I am highly ignorant about, such as a lot of politics and whatnot. Well, in those areas, I am an N-word. I am ignorant. The word faggot. Well, before it was used as a derogatory towards people of the homosexual persuasion, it was actually used as a bundle of wood tied with string or rope. The word fag.
Well, the other thing is,
it was used. Huh? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, our British friends call cigarettes fags. It's still common use.
Yep, they still use the word fag for cigarettes, and that's before it was used as derogatory. And they use it nowadays over in Europe for cigarettes. That's all it is. It's a cigarette.
I've been talking to a lady on here, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, love, gonna go grab a fag." Well, I know what she means.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh, there are so many things I could say to that. Oh yeah, gamers use that term too. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing, folks. People are getting all when you say words like tranny, TRANNY, believe it or not, before that was a derogatory, it was used as shorthand for transmission.
See, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is transmission.
Mm-hmm. Here in Orange Hat Reviews, we discuss controversial topics.
Oh, no.
I mean, folks, if you know the original definitions of words, if you have any higher education of wordplay, you will notice that there are a lot of people nowadays who are, N-words to old speech and to proper speech because they are ignorant people when it comes to how words were originally defined. I mean, I got into an argument with my brother one time, or he was explaining something, and I was wrong about what I was saying, and I'm like, mea culpa, and he's like, do you even know what that means? I'm like, yeah, it means I was in the wrong. I admit my fault. He's like, well, you're using it to sound like you're more educated. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm using it because that's what it means, and I'm not. He's like, how often do you use it? I'm like, I've been using it for the last few years. Well, it's not something you use all your life, so you shouldn't use it. I'm like, that's your opinion. My intent was never to sound smarter than other people. My intent was to admit my fault and admit that I was wrong. That's all. But my brother blew it all out of context and all out of proportion. And so I just shut up and let him think what he thought, you know? But yeah, there must have been more to the Scientology thing and why it's bad because Tom Cruise believes in aliens and UFOs and Xenu and Galactic Confederation and some deep lore why that's controversial. Oh, I have no idea. All I know is that FAG is also a acronym for Freaky Alien Genotype, according to the Team 4-Star people. Freaky Alien Genotype. I mean, if you've watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged, you know what I'm talking about, folks, and it's freaking hilarious. Me, I will always live by my or by the first lines of Everything Louder Than Everything Else by Meatloaf. I know that I will never be politically correct, and I don't give a damn about my lack of etiquette. Because political correctness is a disease, and those who try to spread it, well, you're a cancer upon society. Because political correctness was never meant to be a flourishing, permanent basis. It was meant to be a fad that you got over. And we lost Captain Trek. Hopefully he'll be back. But yeah, as a Cape Bretoner, Cape Bretoner, I've used that F slur a bit too. Oh, Britner, I'm guessing. A tad much than I'd like to. I tend to say it when I'm mad. Yeah. Well, we all say things that we tend not to when we're mad. Honestly, I think there's a lot of shit that I have said that when mad, it's like, don't make me mad because then you're making me a lot more honest than I want to be. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with being honest all the time. It's just I can be extremely brutally honest. Cape Bretoner, not Britain. And it's from Canada, Cape Breton. Oh, I did not know that. Thank you, CJH. But yeah. And yep. There's just Also another thing I wanted to talk about here, folks. We've gone through Joe Rogan, Rock. We've gone through my personal shit. We've gone through more of my personal shit. The proper use of certain words. Now let's get into more controversial topic of anti-white racism that has been prevalent on both Facebook and YouTube. Believe me, back when Jack Dorsey was running Twitter, a lot of anti-white people have been allowed to flourish on Twitter. And Twitter allowed this to happen. People who like to use the term white genocide, where if you break it down, that is the eradication of people who are white. And it's because of people like the Biden or in the Biden administration where they seem to think that being white is some sort of bad thing, hence making white people a minority now. They seem to think that whiteness is an evil thing. So they have the new Black World Order, white genocide. They see white women as nothing more than breeding stock. And these people put the most heinous things on Twitter and Facebook. G-Fan, how you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you around in a fair bit. How's life, buddy? I know, right? I mean, and I recently reported some people earlier today for the use of white genocide and calling for it, and how they're saying that all whites must die and all whites must pay reparations and all whites must acknowledge they're racist and all this stuff. I reported them. Now, I'm hoping that action is taken because, like I said, Jack Dorsey, under his Twitter rule, under his Twitter Reich, I should say, he would allow these people to continue to post even after they have been reported and found that their posts did violate the rules. Yet those posts would stay up. They would not be taken down. And they allowed this stuff to continue to remain up. Well, it also continues to happen now. They are still pushing this stuff, and those accounts are still up. And I'm thinking to myself, free speech is one thing, but you're calling for the death of an entire race, something that Hitler did back in the 30s and 40s. He was calling for the death of an entire race of people. And there are these people on Twitter who are doing the same thing, yet Twitter is not cracking down on them. And it's like, I'm sorry, Twitter, but you are allowing this stuff to propagate. You are allowing people, these brainwashed women who think that we're white, so we need to pay reparations and we need to be breeding stock for these or for black people so that we can get rid of white people. Well, that also means getting rid of you. You're seen as nothing more than cattle. You're seen nothing more as pleasure for other races. And you're willing to dehumanize yourself because of your brainwashing. If you truly think that your life has no more meaning other than to be used as a vessel to create a black child in order to outpopulate white people, I pity you because you are living nothing but a pathetic existence. You have relegated your life to simply just being a breeding machine. And that's pathetic. It truly is. And the fact that Twitter allows this, the fact that Twitter is allowing hashtags like white genocide and black new world order and new black world order to be used over and over all over Twitter is disturbing. And here's the thing. I think all forms of racism is wrong. Anti-white, anti-black, anti-Hispanic, anti-Asian, all of it is wrong. But right now, the racism that is propagating the most is anti-white sentiment. Look at what Facebook tried to do. They tried to take a anti-racism stand, and they did a poll. Well, what they found was the people who were hated on the most on Facebook were white folks. They deleted that poll really freaking quick. Folks, it's time that people wake up and realize a simple truth that we are indeed, as GFan says right here, we are going backwards. People are calling for secession, segregation, and other things. These were all things that were fought against People fought against segregation. People fought against our secession. People fought against that so that we could truly be united. The International Space Station is going into the ocean? Weird. But yeah, we are trying to we're trying to break up all this stuff, but yet you all are seeming to not understand that this is something that we fought against, and for good reason. It was inherently evil. And we discovered a warp bubble. And NASA's going back to the moon too and making a commercial space station up there in place of the ISS. Interesting. This is what happens when you delete history because you are too scared of it. Exactly. Exactly. Because here's the thing. All this destruction of statues, all of these rewriting of histories, you can't rewrite history. History happened. These things already happened, and they happened in the ways that has been written about. A lot of people say, yeah, history is written by the victor, and for good reason. It is because they were the ones that are continuing history. Now, yes, some history may in fact be false. There is room for error. But the thing is, when you push history that is proven false, that is when problems happen. Like the whole critical race theory arguments, where kids are being taught that if you're white, you're an oppressor, and if you're black or any other minority, you are a victim. How is that right? How is that accurate? We live in a society today where everybody has equal opportunities despite their skin color. It makes me wonder if civilization had a boom of tech and then all of a sudden collapsed because people were idiots and we then lose the tech. Yeah. My thoughts are this. If you truly believe that racism is the way, segregation, secession, and all of that, then by all means, segregate yourselves. By all means, secede, leave. But here's the thing. If you truly believe that seceding from the United States is a good idea, well, say goodbye to all federal funding to the seceding party, and you now are forced to, for your entire state, to basically self-preservation. Also, here's another thing. Anybody who secedes from the United States, all of your commercial franchises are now going to have to be pulled, because if the government so deems, if you secede, we pull out all of U.S. jobs and whatnot out of this seceding party. You are not allowed to have any of our assets. I'd like to come in, but finishing with something. Okay, Rosetta. The link is here for when you are ready. But yeah, I just think that people haven't really thought secession through. I do think there are actual racists out there because I've met a few of them on Xbox Live. Oh, I know there are legit racists out there. I've been attacked by many of them when I was unjustly incarcerated. I was attacked simply for being white. And if anybody is like, well, it could have been the charges that you were handed. Yeah, that is a possibility, except that these people were calling me cracker, white boy, piece of shit, white devil, and beating on me as they did so. White trash. Those are racial slurs. And yet, those are the reasons why that group of people, who were all black at the time, those people beat on me simply because I was white. I've been being harassed by racially badly for days. Well, Rosetta, believe me, I know what it's like. And that's why I try not to seek too much conflict on Twitter, because I know it's going to draw out the crazies. And I'm not saying that you are seeking out conflict at all. I am simply saying that crazies will always find anybody who is openly out there. I mean, yes, I am very openly out there. It's just that a lot of them haven't found me yet. If they do, God help them, because I will not hold back. There's crazy people on both sides. Exactly. There's crazy people on the sides that I agree with. There's crazy people on the sides I don't agree with. How you doing?
Ow.
Your leg?
Yeah.
So, what happened exactly?
Well, basically, what's called a form of metabolic muscular dystrophy is also one of the types of L-carnitine deficiencies in the body. It's what makes muscles actually eat themselves and fail and shit like that. Um, I decided to flare really badly, really suddenly. Walked my entire leg as I was turning, and by the time I could catch myself, I was down and tore in 5 places.
Ouch.
So, from my calf muscle, from just above the ankle up to just behind the knee, is basically shredded.
Yikes.
Yeah, it kind of really sucks. Yeah.
But yeah, you know that thing I told you about over the last 3 months? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, I basically gave the hypothetical on here. Do you think, and asked Captain Trek, because he was here, do you think I was being used? And he's like, yeah, you were.
Duh.
And I'm like, well, wouldn't be the first time, you know. But yeah,
Unfortunately,
that's
kind
why.
people have a tendency to be walked all over. I've been there myself many times.
Well, that's why after the stream, I will be privatizing it after a few days, so that if people do want to watch it, they can. I did not give out any personal information about the person who I burned the bridge with. I did say that it is a family member, yes, but I did not specify what family member it
They have
is.
nothing legal they can say to you. Don't privatize shit. Don't let them push you around.
True. And you know what? You know what? You're absolutely right. I don't think I will have to, or I won't privatize it. Now that I think about it, because I am allowed to speak my mind. I am allowed to air my grievances.
Also,
yeah.
let's see. Would you like one?
I've seen those things online.
I have several of them. Would you like one?
Sure. Are they in different colors or whatever?
1 sec here. I don't really feel like reaching up in front of the camera, so I'm kind of not in great shape right now.
Yeah.
I'm such a gimp. Oh, fuck.
That's what she said.
Shut up, you.
Yeah.
You gave me something, jewelry, to cheer me up when I was in a bad state.
Yep. I gave
So
you the
I thought
bracelet.
I could do the same for you.
Nice.
And
I do love dragons.
I know, because we've shared some of the work I do with dragons before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I dig in these.
We're all messed up mentally, CJH. J-Fan's here.
How badly am I screwed up?
Hello.
In chat? Let's be honest.
Legal writer, there's no hope for you. I'm joking.
No, I feel that way very often.
Oh, there's hope for everyone. Except for me.
Right.
I'm hopeless.
Let me.
How you been, G-Fan?
Oh, geez. Well, just working a lot. Got a new job and all that, so it's been a while.
Different shades of blue and green.
Oh, that's nice.
Definitely.
Do you care which?
Green.
Okay, let's go for the greenest one I have, which is the one over here, which when you look up close, you can actually see it's more emerald-like.
Oh, I love it. Gimme.
Resend me the address. It's been too long since I sent you something.
Will do.
This is friends trying to be friends.
Well, actually, it's a different address now, Rosetta.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You moved.
Yep. So, yeah.
So, how's everyone been? I haven't gotten to talk to anybody for months and months now.
Oh, Jesus, dude. I'm living in a new place. Living with my mom here. Got used for 3 months by a family member to babysit their kids. I really should check my phone to see if my address or the P.O. box is the same. Or is the same that I'm putting down here.
Yeah, verify your address before you send it.
Yeah, definitely. Got to verify my own address with myself. My address. Where are you? Yeah, there we go. Alrighty.
CGH, believe it or not, I really understand that.
There. There. There you go, Rosetta, in the private chat. Now, if you want to send me anything...
I can't copy that from here because I'm on the crappy little Chromebook. And there's the husband with food. Food. Gimme.
That's what she said, too.
Oh, definitely.
Alrighty, let's go to Rosetta's... Oops.
I'm a difficult woman. You know that.
I'll send it to you on Twitter.
Okay. That'll be easy to pull up later when I'm in the other room.
Where are you in my dang messages?
Buried deep.
I know, because I haven't talked with you in so long on Twitter on the message. You know what? I'll just look you up and message you that way. There.
CJH, I have been there, trust me. And for a long time, I didn't tell anybody, did I, Orange?
Nope.
And now I get And now I get attacked for being open about this stuff. But it's like, what would you rather I bury everything and I'm just a bitch?
CJH, they made a movie strictly or about toxic fandoms, strictly to strike out at people like us.
Which movie?
Scream 5.
Oh, I didn't hear anything about that movie, so kind of out of the
Shit.
loop on that one.
I actually got myself featured in Bounding into Comics for it.
Oh, really?
Because of, yeah.
Eh.
And there.
It's been a while since those guys cited me, but it's been a while since I've been able to get involved in those stories.
Yep. Because I'm like, did you guys see this and whatnot? I mean, they're like, you got a video about it? I'm like, yeah, I got a video about it. And yeah, I was quite vulgar. But they were kind enough to still use my content as it. And yeah, Geeks and Gamers also did a thing on it. Tugs, God bless that girl. And I have apologized to Geeks and Gamers publicly because I did perceive or falsely perceive that no bigger channel or any of them really took notice. Well, Geeks and Gamers did take notice. Tugs is part of Geeks and Gamers. And so, yeah, she wrote a review of it that night. I was not aware of it. So, yeah. Shout out to Geeks and Gamers and whatnot for also staying ahead on it. I just thought it would get a little bit more exposure because, well, they kind of went after us directly and they did it in a movie and whatnot. It's like, could you be any more obvious about it? I remember the good old days when I was an SJW sellout troll myself. My God, those days were... yeah, I know, right?
See, here's the interesting thing, though. At least how I see it is, a lot of times with the general public, that stuff goes over their head. Like
Sure.
a lot of those jabs at like what these companies are doing to the different fandoms, it goes over the general
Like the absolute
heads.
disgusting jab in the Rick and Morty comic that I don't care what anyone says, that was drawn to look like Jeremy.
Honestly, I cannot remember, or I didn't know what that comic was about.
Yeah,
when Jeremy put the comic up, it's like, okay. But if that was indeed the case, then yeah. Whoever that was decided, may that page rest in peace. What page? Oh, that promote my Star Wars page, yeah. But yeah, if that was indeed the intention, then yes, I do believe that that was indeed wrong and whatnot. Because they're attacking a person specifically.
Well, and it was a thinly veiled threat against him and his followers, too.
Oh.
It really was. I looked through the whole page, and it's absolutely designed to threaten people who are outside of the group.
And what are they going to do exactly if we don't whatever?
Read us, apparently. I mean,
are they going to try to kill me? Or are they going to try to kill us or whatnot? Because here's the thing. If you or if any of these companies want me dead, look me up. I live in Piercefield, New York. I'll give you the I won't give you the address, but I will tell you the town. I live in Piercefield, New York. If you want to try to come and kill me, well, you might have a hard time doing it. Because up in this particular area, we're very pro 2A. Let's just say that.
I did have somebody ask me if I was scared about people trying to go after my family, because I had to help a friend file charges on people not only doxing his info, but threatening to have him and his family swatted. That was a few days ago. I actually had to fight that one. And they're asking me if I'm scared because this is from a anime group where 2 of the other members have already been doxed and gone after from this anime panel I'm on.
Well, here's the thing. They can't SWAT me because we have no SWAT team up here.
But the point I was getting at was when they were asking me if I was scared, it's not like, and I literally just sat there and went, not really. My dad's already proven he'll shoot something to defend mom.
Hey, there you go.
And they're looking at me going, what? It's like, I've already publicly said it. My dad shot the neighbor's dog when it attacked her.
Not really. Kamen Rider.
So.
What anime panel is this?
It's Knights of the Anime Roundtable with Anime Night.
Oh,
nice. But yeah, I saw that Mary Mayhem's sister is in the hospital.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, because of COVID complications or something.
Oh.
And my aunt's in the hospital in the ICU because of COVID complications. And everybody's like, give her this, give her this, give her this. I'm like, while I understand that a lot of that can help, my aunt is a walking allergy. Basically, she's allergic to everything almost. So I don't.
Oh, like me.
She also had, or you know which aunt I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. And I said, and like me.
Yep. So yeah, you've met that aunt, Rosetta. It's that one. And believe me, when I heard she was in the ICU, it's like, God, you have best not call her home. Because if you do, hell hath no fury than you or than Orange Hat scorned. Let's just say that. Because believe me, my anger will far outweigh my depression. And I am not looking forward to any more funerals that I need to attend. Because, honestly, my aunt has not always been in the best of health because of her asthma and her diabetes and whatnot. So, catching COVID, even though she's vaxxed and boosted, kind of weird how the government is saying that you can't get, or that the effects will not harm you as much if you're vaxxed and boosted. Why the hell is my aunt in the ICU?
Why the hell have so many people I know gotten it within a 2-week period of getting that shot? Or are we not allowed to ask that anymore?
Well, you can ask it, but they won't give you the truth. So.
Well, here's the thing. I'll fucking actually go up to Jen, or if I did have the ability to go up to Jen Psaki and ask her, didn't your boss say that if you get these boosters and these vaccines, that it will drastically lower the chances of you having a severe reaction to COVID? Well, my aunt is is in the fucking ICU, you assholes. And she was vaxxed and boosted because of the false dribble that you put in her head. Believe me, I am more than pissed off about the fact that my aunt is in the ICU. Yes, I am very concerned for her health. And unfortunately, we live in a very liberal state like New York where they don't believe that ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and all those things are useful. They think that that is bullshit.
Again, the whole stuff about ivermectin is they try to claim, well, it's just a horse, but well, it's used.
It's in horse dewormer, yes.
It's used for certain animal medicines. It was not designed for animal medicines. It was designed for humans, and it had a Nobel Peace Prize for its use in human healing.
Yeah. Oh, shit, that's right. I heard earlier about this. Um, but yeah, getting off of the COVID shit because I don't want my stream taken down.
Sorry.
No. I was the one who brought it up. I did hear one of the greatest news today.
What's that?
Megan Rapinoe is no longer on the roster for U.S. women's soccer. She has effectively canceled herself.
Which will tell you how much I pay attention to that shit anymore. Who the hell?
Well,
Fuck. I mean,
Sorry, I don't know who that is. I don't kind of follow soccer, so.
Megan
kinda quit
Rapinoe
giving a
was
fuck about it.
Megan Rapinoe was the pink-haired lesbian who loved to kneel for the flag, and during the Summer Olympics, I think it was last year or the year before. No, it was last year because they couldn't do it the year before.
Mm-hmm.
She was also doing it during the Olympics as well, and
So she's as bad as the little Adam bitch from figure skating that didn't want to go to the White House because he wanted to make this whole political thing about his sexuality.
Yep, she did.
Even though he refused to go with his teammates for an event that had nothing to do with politics.
Yep.
So that they could be honored.
She didn't want to go to the White House either while Trump was in office.
I don't know why. He's been very big on the gay stuff and was out there supporting all the trans stuff in trans bathrooms and shit. It's like people forget his positions just because he said he was Republican. He wasn't a Republican. He was a fucking rhino. Let's get that shit straight. Not like him either.
Only, yeah.
He was a fucking rhino. And his daughter was a liberal Democrat and still is.
Yep. And the thing is, folks.
And she's a bitch. I mean, sorry.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Especially
I'm not here to
dealt
judge
with her
you
in person. I mean.
Thing is, I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I'm registered as a Republican. But that's because in New York State, you have to register as one or the other to take part in lesser elections.
And that is absolutely a violation of people's voting rights because they're saying that if you don't toe the line and join the parties, you don't have a right to vote in important things that affect you locally.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely a violation of people's voting rights.
Mm-hmm. But nobody in the state of New York is going to really challenge that in the Supreme Court. So, unfortunately, there's nothing really that we can do.
I think that's the same in Pennsylvania here, too.
Oh, I heard that Pennsylvania actually got rid of the mail-in voting for without good cause because they said with no good reason, then yeah, you guys aren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, I heard about that one too. Well, the other shakeup was how our governor is trying to raise the minimum wage here in PA. And the thing is, with what money, our state's poor.
What was he trying to raise it to?
I think it was $12. The argument was it was going to be $12, but then it will eventually get to $15 by the end of this year.
That's what they're trying to do here too.
Yeah, but the thing is like I said, our state's kind of poor, and like everyone's always saying, with what money? You know what I mean?
We're poor too, dude.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, we actually, in Pennsylvania, we have more of an older population than a younger population. There's nothing to sustain that job and stuff like that.
But yeah.
But
honestly, my mom asked me if I could live anywhere, where would I live? It'd be like, not down in Florida because it's way too hot. Not not mid-America because of tornadoes. Honestly, I don't know where to go or where I would go. Probably Tennessee because best taxes or lowest taxes, I think.
I mean, there's no state income tax in South Dakota, but you'd have to deal with horrifically cold weather.
Like, how cold are we talking?
If you're on the eastern side of the state dealing with the flatlander farmers, negative 20, 30 range isn't uncommon. If you're in the Black Hills, it can hit negative 60.
It's nothing. We've had negative 60-degree weather here in the Adirondacks. I mean, that's like a couple nights that's like a few nights during the winter here. With
That's not common anywhere, even up in the North Pole. It happens on occasion in a few conditions.
Well, admittedly it is wind chill.
No, I'm not talking wind chill. I'm talking about the recorded regular temp was negative 59, negative 60 with wind chill of almost negative 100.
Well, where do you live?
That's in the Black Hills, where that's happened.
And you live near the Black Hills?
That's where I grew up.
Yikes.
The first month of my life, my mom was having fun avoiding going outside because it was in the negative 40s with wind chills in the negative 80s.
Nobody Geek. NB Geek, how are you?
I'm good, Orange Hat. How you been, man? I've seen a lot of your stuff, and man, you're really rocking some good shit.
Thank you.
You know, when I saw this, I saw Eagle Rider and was like, "Is that Rosetta?"
Well,
I'm hard to shut up even when I'm gimpy and not supposed to be doing stuff.
Yeah, that's part of both our problems. That's
well, I needed a break from telling off the Twitter morons, which was fun, but I've done a lot of that the last couple of days. Oh my god, you should see my feet. I've done a lot of that the last couple of days.
Is this about the whole albino thing? Because I saw your feed on that, and it was
that was at one point in it where they decided to harass me almost nonstop over my skin tone and tell me I wasn't native, and it's like, and you're saying this because you're claiming that I support racism because I don't want people censored. Oh, you're dumb fucks. I mean,
well, I don't remember Rosetta. I don't remember exactly the name of the movie that I think is on Netflix, but there was something where they were complaining because it was predominantly made about Hispanics, and they said they looked too white.
And then you point out that Hispanic means that culture originated in Spain, and they're all technically Caucasian, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't mean, Puerto Ricans, Filipinos, Brazilians. I mean, you name it. They lump these terms. It's like
they've lumped a lot of people with Hispanic because a lot of the cultures mixed with Hispanic culture, because Spain was a bunch of fucking pirates that was trying to conquer everybody and was mass raping and pillaging everyone for a long time. And that's where most of what's become South America originated with, was a cross of the natives that were there combined with Spanish pirates.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take your word on that one because I don't know much about South American history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm good at American history, but
South American history. I took classes on that. It's a cluster. That's all I can say.
It's a cluster F of a lot of stuff that's basically just a massive Viking behavior. Let's be honest.
Here's what I know about South American history. When it came to Brazil and Rio and whatnot, well, the Spanish came in and tried guns blazing invasion, and they got slaughtered. The Portuguese went in, traded, gave them trinkets and whatnot, and that's why people speak Portuguese in
Brazil.
Because the Portuguese were kind and willing to trade and learn, where the Spanish were kind of dumb fucks that tried to invade and say, fuck you, we want everything.
To be clear, I don't
what-
exactly
remember
have much
what-
tolerance for Brazil right now. They are one of the countries that has legalized prostitution of children.
That is
Oh,
kind of
God,
very
that's-
disgusting. And,
No,
They are.
Actually, that's not kind of disgusting. That is full on fucked up disgusting.
They are.
No,
Government
what
endorses
I find
it.
really
Well, they got
really
a bent
fucked up.
government, so
What I really find fucked up is you have these, you know, they want to say follow the science, and they want to justify being a pedophile.
Oh, are you talking about that MAPS? Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh. God.
and it's like, yeah, you come
MAPS
to your
is minorly attracted person whatnot.
Yeah.
MAPS
that crap.
is, I have a term for it, but if I say it on your air, you'll get struck.
Put it in the private.
When I can reach the keys in a bit, I will. Just remind me.
But what is it? Minorly attracted person science or something like that?
Something like that. It's, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Anybody who is minor or attracted to kids, you're sick, you're disgusting, you need help, and you should either get help or get a grave. Because if you act on that shit, that's exactly where you're going to go. I'm not saying you should kill yourself. I'm simply saying get some help and don't act on those impulses.
Because if you act on them, like, odds are either the family is going to kill you or the inmates in prison will.
Yep. Especially if it's in the
thing for
United
certain.
States.
Inmates in prison, and we've seen the studies behind this. They don't like two people.
Oh,
The
shit.
kind who are in law enforcement and get convicted, and they don't like pedophiles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see CJH's comment there.
Yeah. By help, we mean bullets. Thing
I got a
is,
couple. I mean, you can take your pick. I got 22 long rifle, 9mm. I know people have 45. I mean, we can.
to clarify, folks, I am not telling anybody to off themselves. That
No,
is
we do
a
not
no-no
endorse
on
anything like
YouTube.
that.
But yeah, I've seen channels actually get pulled for shit like that, or get their channel struck and their streams pulled for shit like that. I am not advocating for people to kill themselves in any shape, way, or form. I do want to clarify that.
I am advocating for self-defense and defense of people who
And
can't
defense
defend
of
themselves.
innocence. Yeah.
I'm advocating for defense of your children and your family.
I'm also
definitely.
advocating for a leg that'll fucking work so I can get out of bed.
I know, right?
Fuck.
Chances are I'm going to be laid out for a little bit this week.
2 to 5 months to heal and up to 4 months for the physical therapy.
Yikes.
Gee.
Because
Did you have surgery?
No, but if it tears anymore, I will have to.
Ah, shit. I'm sorry.
The back of the leg is shredded inside the calf muscle.
I had a time back when I was in the Air Force. I think it was 2016 or 17. I was in great shape, and we were doing drills in the Air Force at PT, physical training, and we were doing butt kicks on the way back, and all of a sudden my right leg lifted up when I did it, and it literally sounded like a gun just went off in my leg. And then when my foot went down to the ground, I fell. And I was in a
Let me put it to you this way. I went through wrestling. I worked on a rock wall. I went through carpentry. I've been a biker, a hunter. I have done more crazy shit. I broke a fucking leg press machine by overloading the weight on it to the point where it snapped the metal bars. But no, I'm making a fucking bed, and this stupid form of muscular dystrophy snaps the calf and shreds it.
It's always the small things.
Ugh.
I have lower mechanical back pain, And the first time it happened when I was 19, I was in the Marine Corps because I was in both the Marine Corps and the Air Force. And I was 19 and I was putting antenna equipment up. And I just stood up. I had nothing in my hands at all. I just stood up and all of a sudden my back just started spasming like somebody took a fucking baseball bat to it.
Oh, by the way, you had to question whether it was me. Could you not tell from the drawing? I kind of have a very unique style.
Nah, I just had to. Nah, I thought it was you because I know that's your Twitter handle and that looks like you're drawing. But I had to hear your voice to get total confirmation. 3 kinds of authorization.
Who says I authorized you to do shit? I mean, fuck this fucking leg. No, I have to have a knee scooter for several months.
So, in the
And
world of
bed rest.
entertainment here, real quick, did you guys see about the Godzilla series coming to Apple?
Nope, because I was never much
I
of a
heard
Godzilla person.
Yes, I heard about the MonsterVerse going to Apple.
Yeah.
I don't know anything beyond that though.
Yeah, it's going to be a live action series coming out. That's, I guess, how they're continuing it at the moment. So, but it's on Apple. So, take that for
Apparently,
what you will.
they're still gonna have rights to Godzilla.
Yes. But it's kind of interesting because it seems like Legendary is shopping around for other studios at the moment. So,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I'm like, how are they retaining Godzilla's rights if did they pull a fast one on Toho? Because if they did, that's wrong.
right. See, here's the thing. Movie rights and TV rights are separate as far as I can tell from what I've researched. So I don't know if there was a backwards deal allowing them to do a TV show as well.
Did I see somebody in the backstage or something at first? I could have sworn I did.
Hey,
Sorry.
G-Fan, this is the first time I've heard about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a classic Godzilla, or is it the more recent one?
It's the MonsterVerse. It's the more recent one.
Okay.
You all right, Rosetta?
Yeah, I'll be fine in a minute.
You want me to mute your mic?
I'm fine. I don't care. Everyone's heard me sound like a gimp before anyways.
Well, just careful. Hey, Riot, good to see you.
Hi. Hey, Riot, sweetie.
Yeah.
So, did they put anything out about what their maybe initial plan is? I'm just curious.
So the synopsis is it's very vague, and a lot of people aren't sure what to make of it. It's talking about right after San Francisco. It's supposed to be about a family learning about the secrets of Monarch with Godzilla, but the weird thing is it might break up a bit of the continuity because they argue Godzilla hasn't been seen in between Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla King of the Monsters. But who knows? It's a shadowy organization, so they can say, whatever, this hurricane did it, even though it was Godzilla. Not quite sure how they're going to approach it. Right now, as far as they know, it's a deal that's been struck, but I think it's in the early stages still of what they actually want to do with it. So, but that being said, is the research I did was Apple TV was the bid that was the highest. They were always the highest bid. They went to all the other streaming services like Netflix, HBO Max, Amazon, but it was Apple that gave them the highest bid to have it on their platform.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So that being said, we'll have to see, when this develops and all that sort of thing. Now, as far as a lot of people were asking too, as far as the Godzilla series was, will Toho be making anytime soon? From what I've researched, there's still no plans to really do anything with the Japanese Godzilla quite yet. They did say that they wanted to make their own kind of revitalization of the Godzilla series with all the other monsters, but as far as I know, nothing has come to fruition yet. But
well, I would imagine if you're going to do a show and you're going to go based on, like Kong versus Godzilla and stuff, it's going to be very expensive because of CGI.
Right. And that's the question. If a lot of people are wondering, is it going to be more of the human drama, which it's a TV show? I don't know. Budget wise, I don't know how much per episode they have or per season they have. That stuff has not been released. But anytime you have something like with that much special effects and that much detail, you often wonder, how are these going to be laid out? How are they going to be done? There was a rumor way back when during Godzilla King of the Monsters, Mike Daughtry had, who was the director of that movie, had been interested in doing a Godzilla TV series himself about doing Godzilla BC, where it talked about the ancient civilizations from that movie and going back in time and showing like what they experienced and how they came to worship the kaiju and all that. Well, the Titans, as in this MonsterVerse is called. So
that would sound interesting. I mean, if you take the kaiju and you go back in the past, that might actually open up some interesting stories. New stories.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I guess that was what he would like to do. But I don't know who really what they're really going to do with this new series. I guess we'll just have to find out. I'll tell you what. Orange and I have talked about the Godzilla series a bunch of times, and if how much do you know about the Godzilla series, like the original, like the Japanese one?
Me?
Oh no, I'm asking.
Sorry, my wife just came in. I got to talk to her real quick.
Sorry.
Well, all I know is that I had a perfect idea for bringing in Destroya into the MonsterVerse. You know the Oxygen Destroyer?
Oh yeah, of course.
And how they had all those dead fish in a 2-mile radius?
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. Each one of those dead marine life, except for Godzilla, of course,
right,
had parasitical antioxygen in them.
Right.
And suddenly, when Monarch went to clean out the area, they realized, well, a lot of that fish, or a lot of them, had those weird microbials in them, and they started to evolve weirdly. And that, because we all know that that's how Destroya eventually became a thing. It was a coalescence of all of the different parasites.
Right. Yeah,
so that would be the perfect way of actually doing it. And I would love to see an updated, more modernistic look to Destroya.
Yeah, I would too. That would coincide very easily too. And
yes, Rosetta.
I am probably going to have to go so I can try to get my leg under control so I can get some rest.
Okie dokie, kiddo.
Right.
Thank you for stopping.
Take care.
Limp myself to the other room so I can do my meds.
Okie dokie. Good luck and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, take care.
Further. Bye.
Yeah. Take it easy.
But I like your idea there. It would work, exactly how you say it. Exactly plausible how you say it.
Or Monarch doesn't even try to go to get the cleanup. It's just they left all the shit there and it just went on there, and they couldn't understand why suddenly all that dead stuff disappeared. I mean, because you leave it alone for 4 years. Well, what do you think's going to happen?
Oh yeah. Because it's stated that these titans must have rapidly evolved on their own. So it can be easily said you created a new titan. I always wanted to see Biolante.
Biolante is also another one.
Yeah.
There is so much potential of her being. I suppose I can come on now. Okay? Well, come on in, right? Here is the not that. I should or that. I almost just gave my address to everybody on. Let's copy the link for crying out loud day and just do it. There we go.
You gotta put your OPSEC in place. Gotta remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what OPSEC means, just look it up. It's a military reference, which it was a program I used to teach people on. I'm gonna be honest, guys. When it comes to Godzilla, or I guess what was the original name? Gojira.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've seen the Godzilla movie. I've not seen Gojira. And then I saw the movie that came out in what was it, the 90s or something?
1998 Godzilla.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for it. I enjoyed the 2016 Godzilla. I enjoyed Kong Skull Island and enjoyed Kong versus Godzilla. But I don't know. I don't have an extensive history. Like I don't have a fraction of knowledge of someone like I know Stone Loki, who is a huge Godzilla fan. OG's Godzilla. And I'm like, I don't have when I hear him talk about Godzilla, I don't have a fraction of the knowledge. But I have a hard time watching some of those older movies just because reasons that I can't explain. I just Godzilla was never. I guess Monsters was never really high on my list as far as kaiju. I mean, I'm a huge fan of monster movies. I got a Universal collection that I picked up off of Amazon of all the Universal Studios black and whites, but that was my definition of a monster. And I never really, I've had a hard time really understanding the fandom behind the Godzilla series. And you guys seem like you're big fans. Maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Well, so the way I always say it to a person who's not really a Godzilla fan or doesn't know that much about it. Hey, Rye Kitty.
Hello. It's okay. Continue.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Godzilla and Godzilla fandom. It's interesting because I argue, because there are so many Godzilla movies, and within the Godzilla movies, there's so many different subgenres. Some are comedies, some are very serious, some are more spy flicks, even with their subplots. And so it just really depends on which movie you identified with as a child. But all in all, it's probably more also the love of also dinosaurs. I mean, when I first saw it, Godzilla 1985, I think I was 3 or 4 years old, and I thought it was the coolest dinosaur to ever exist. I mean, here's this unstoppable engine of destruction, can't be killed by regular, missiles and tanks and whatnot, and it can, breathe atomic fire. I mean, it was cool. It was badass, But the original, what I came to appreciate more as I grew up was what the Godzilla films were originally there to represent. I mean, it was made in Japan, the only country to suffer an attack with nuclear weapons. So out of all the countries, they had a very, direct, experience with that. And so if you ever watch the original Gojira, it is a lot different than all the Godzilla movies that came after it because of its serious tone, and it's actually a depressing movie. Orange, what was your first experience with Godzilla?
First experience was the original Gojira, but the Americanized version of it,
right?
With Perry Mason.
Raymond Burr. Yeah.
Now, did you when Orange Hat? I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I watched Godzilla the original about 6-7 months ago, and I didn't know this until I was told that this was actually edited from the Gojira movie. And when I watched it, and that was after the fact, because I was like, why is Godzilla so badly edited? And then I found out because it was a lot of cut and paste.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Terry Morris, who directed the new scenes and did the recutting of Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the American cut.
American version.
Yeah. And what he did was he pretty much essentially did something that was kind of unheard of at the time. He had to create it was originally a Japanese movie and make it, marketable to American audiences. So when they did a lot of the cuts and the edits and stuff like that, they didn't always have a translator with them either. So a lot of the scenes are actually jumbled or out of order. So it does make it a bit different to watch in a sense, because some of the things that they're talking about, and they're using the original Japanese language track for some scenes, but when they're translating it doesn't match up to what they're actually saying in Japanese. It's kind of interesting, but yet what's kind of even more interesting is actually it being a success. It was actually a financial success for it being a quote unquote B movie, even though in Japan at the time, Godzilla was the original Gojira was the most expensive movie ever made in Japan. So actually between that movie and Seven Samurai, which were released on the same year in 1954, it almost bankrupted Toho. Like, they took a big gamble with both those movies, and they both became like international sensations in their own right. Godzilla was marketed more as the mainstream. Seven Samurai was winning awards at film festivals all over the world at the time.
That is a movie I still haven't seen yet. It's on my list.
Oh, it's a very good movie if you ever get to watch it. I always recommend it.
Things. Well, I mean, I would say this about the Japanese culture. They seem to have a very good grasp on how to attract an audience, and they've managed to do it worldwide, because when I take my kids to, like, the bookstore, for example, my son, his favorite show and his favorite books are Naruto.
Okay.
The manga really manages to resonate in America, even though it's made in Japan. And there seems to be something about what they're doing over there. And can kind of compare it right now to what I've seen on Netflix from South Korea. And that's because I've seen 3 shows in South Korea. I mean, I saw Squid Games, Silent Sea, which my wife watched first and recommended I watch it. And then I watched the show Are We All Dead? And
okay.
It was the weaker of it was the weaker of them, but still. And I have my issues with certain things, which we all do.
Right.
But I mean, still, some of the way the show was produced is still, I was like, this is South Korea, and they're making shit better than Hollywood is.
Yeah. And that might be if you look at like all the politics going through Hollywood, I think that's what's ruining a lot of movies, to be honest with you, and TV shows. That's just me. And over in like a lot of countries like Japan and South Korea, they really don't touch on politics or anything like that much at all.
Well, here's the thing.
I think they do, but it's done more tastefully, I think.
Yes. one, Japan is environmental. Their movies, especially the Godzilla movies, they will always be environmental, and they will always be anti-nuclear, because that's what the original Gojira was originally about. Because they wanted, or they could not overtly talk about nuclear or the dangers of nuclear bombs. So they needed an allegory. So they created Gojira. And that is the reason why. Now, my opinion as to your earlier question of what is the appeal of these movies, it's monsters. It is monsters, and how our people can take and escape from reality and let our imaginations run wild with these monsters. What would happen if a monster did this? What would happen if we were put in this world where monsters exist? How would we handle such a thing? What would you do if Godzilla or Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, how would you handle these things? What would you, because even though the Japanese movies did it very well, King of the Monsters actually handled it extremely well as to pay tribute, where Rodan flies over that town and it's wiped out as if a nuclear bomb or a nuclear blast went off and the shockwave was hitting them. Everybody was getting blown away. Buildings were being destroyed because they call Rodan the flying A-bomb, or he's an A-bomb on wings. Ghidorah generating a tropical storm or a hurricane and whatnot. And another thing that a lot of people didn't realize in King of the Monsters was Rodan was throwing fireballs. He could trigger volcanic eruptions, or with his will. People don't, or if they read the book, that's what, or they would find that out. But that's really what the appeal is. You are allowing yourself to escape and imagine what these monsters would be like in real life. Believe me, if Rodan existed in real life and flew over my town, our house would be destroyed and whatnot. It would absolutely suck. But the thing is, they also make a good point. We are turning this planet over to them, the first gods. That's why they called them Titans, because what came before the gods in Greek myth? The Titans.
Yeah, I was a huge. I'm sorry, South Park.
Oh, call her Riot. That's just her play name right now.
Okay, Riot.
Yes, I was playing the South Park. I was playing the first South Park game by Ubisoft. So I just call myself South Park right now. So it's funny.
One of the things that is great about fantasy and entertainment is it's supposed to be an escapism. I think most of us go to movies and go to the cinema because we want to escape from reality. We don't want to watch a movie that is completely reality based. Yes, we nitpick it. Yes, some of us as geeks will nitpick it for the things we know are not true. I've seen police guys do it. I've seen firemen do it. I'm military. I was 20 years military. I've done it plenty of times, but it does not mean that it takes away from the story. It's just people I think forget there was a time at one point where you used to have Nitpicker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it was Star Trek, TOS, TNG, Star Wars. I mean, it was just little nitpicks. I mean, it was literally everything wrong. The streaming series, everything wrong with this, and so many minutes, but it was just, and we do it, but a lot of times back then versus now, we did the nitpicking out of fun. We still love the movie.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
now it's certain movies are just like so bad and so in your face. You're like, you got to point out everything wrong about it. It's crazy. Whereas
Well,
Godzilla, I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Godzilla. I've seen the original, or not the original. I'm sorry, the American version. Let me rephrase that. And I've seen the '98 version and then the current versions. And I've got to say, it is an amazing thing to see a franchise last this long. I mean, we don't have any franchises last as long as this.
very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true.
I mean, Simpsons is going on for 30 or 40 years, or 30 years, where you have soap operas that have lasted for almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Godzilla that's been around since 1950. I think it's either 4 or 1956.
54.
54, yeah. Is
Yeah, that's
Godzilla.
pretty crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
And once it actually gets to 2024, that's 70 years.
Yep.
That's
70
a long time for an IP to last.
years for an intellectual property that continues on to this day. That is the longest. No, scratch that. That is the second longest intellectual property. The first intellectual property is King Kong.
Yeah. Yep.
King Kong was in the 30s.
King Kong came out in, what was it?
34 or 32.
Yeah, yep. 32 or 30. I thought it was 34, but I mean, it's an easy
King
Google
Kong
search.
is...
Yeah, 33. I think. I'm pretty sure it's 33.
Hey, you might be right. But I mean, these are characters. And
33.
These aren't even...
Yep.
1933.
So,
yeah.
King Kong has been around for 89 years.
Yep.
And
so that there's just been a fascination with monsters. Mm-hmm. That is basically the thing that people are drawn to. There's always been this fascination with monsters, because what did people always used to dream about in their nightmares? Monsters.
Yep.
So now, by bringing monsters out into the forefront, you have that fascination that you can actually watch them. Things that you have never even dreamed of now suddenly coming to life.
Right.
And
well,
it's just that Japan decided to take monsters and give their story a purpose outside of just it being a dumb monster movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that when it comes down to the cultural differences between, say, Japan and, say, America, we have Westerns. We have a different kind of opinion on what we think of as monsters back then versus what Japanese people thought of what a monster would be. And you brought up a good point when you said the whole point was the creation of him originally, I believe, was because of the atomic bombs. And
yes, it was an allegory.
Kind of it played an allegory as a warning.
Godzilla was essentially nature's vengeance against mankind for harnessing nuclear power.
Yes.
That was the original concept of what Godzilla was, or Gojira was, because there is that scene at the end of the original Gojira film where the character basically says, this is what humans have spawned because of nuclear power, and if nuclear power continues to propagate, we may only make matters worse.
Yep.
I
You
mean,
know,
that's paraphrasing, obviously, but it's
yeah,
essentially true. What have we, or yes, we have nuclear reactors, we have nuclear power, but ultimately, we have a worldwide standoff with nuclear bombs. It is, or nuclear energy was, or and always will have its origin in destruction.
Yeah. Well, even when harnessing as an energy source, look at how fragile it is. I mean, look at Fukushima. Look at Chernobyl. It's
Yeah.
if something even a little bit goes wrong, it's catastrophic.
Those,
And
and if you look
yeah.
at the reasons behind those meltdowns, ambition usually had a role to play.
Hmm.
you know, I did a research on nuclear meltdowns, and they're not as common as I think people think they are. And you got to remember, Chernobyl was during the USSR.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly.
Chernobyl
Uh,
went critical because the government, I believe, wanted to increase the output,
Yes,
except that
they did.
they did,
Yeah.
and then shit went sideways with their equipment, and they ended up causing a meltdown. What happened at Fukushima? They wanted to increase output, and
I have
what
a
happened?
question.
Their equipment went sideways and malfunctioned, and well, holy shit, we're still getting fallout across the Pacific Ocean.
Mm.
You know, I remember there was a movie I watched, and it's really one of my favorite horror movies. And it was called Them. I don't know if any of you all have seen that or
The
heard of it.
ants. Yeah, ants.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And the whole point of the ants was very similar to maybe, I don't know if this was something they got because the movie came out in the 1950s. Uh, these giant ants were created and made because of atomic testing in the desert. I mean,
Hmm.
that's where the movie takes place. It takes place in the desert.
Yep.
So, there was I don't know if that was because of things like Gojira, but it was one of my favorite movies of the time, and it was kind of like, okay, I mean, I don't know how mutations work. I'm not a medical doctor. I have no clue. But, it was kind of like, how far. I think that with Godzilla, Gojira, and maybe like them and some other movies we've seen, is like, how far do you want to try and get to God? Because I'm a religious person. I believe in like the Tower of Babel, and it's kind of like, how far do you want to play God before God fights
Something.
back? Or how far do you want to go? Or if you're not religious, how far do you want to go before? How far do you want to fight nature before nature fights you back?
Well, that
If
is
that
a good,
makes any
or that's
goddamn
another good
sense.
question. Because here's the thing. Honestly, actually, a great quote from 2014 Godzilla. The arrogance of man is thinking nature is within our control and not the other way around.
Hmm.
We cannot control nature. Every time we have tried to control nature, it has humbled us. The last time there was uh the last time there was any serious push in climate change was, I believe it was 2013 in the United States. Now let me just re-clarify this. Uh yeah, it was 2013. And well, guess what happened in the United States in 2013, specifically May 31st? El Reno happened. for those of you who are not aware, El Reno was the largest tornado ever recorded. And it was a 2 mile or over 2.5 mile wide funnel.
Yeah.
2.6
I do
miles
remember that.
wide. That thing, or there was very little casualties because it fell into a very sparsely populated area. But imagine if that had fallen in a majorly populated area.
Oh yeah.
Say
yeah.
that fell in a major city. Say that
Louisville, Kentucky.
El Reno?
No, I mean, when Louisville, Kentucky got devastated, and I live here in Indiana, and there was the whole thing about possible tornadoes coming around, and we heard that all through Twister Alley, which is where I live, there were over 100 tornadoes that came up in just a few days. Or actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tornado Alley
I
is
mean, it's
God's
like,
way of essentially proving we have no control over nature. Because
no, we don't. It's when people say the world is going to end, when you hear these crazy politicians say the world's going to end in 10 years. No, the world will end. I'm like, the world handled an ice age. The world handled the destruction of the dinosaurs. This planet is more resilient than I think a lot of people give credit for. This world will possibly survive long after man is gone.
Well, here's another thing. A lot of people are complaining about climate change and whatnot. What all these idiots in power refuse to accept is that we are not in a climate change right now. We are in a climate shift. This Earth has climate shift cycles.
Oh, yeah.
Ice ages. That last ice age, that wasn't the first and only ice age.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's why my state's so flat. It's because it froze over and then it broke off.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people like to say, "Oh, well, the ice age was the only one." No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Antarctica
this planet used to be a fiery
was a result
volcano,
of an ice
basically.
age.
Yep.
Antarctica splitting and whatnot. That was a result of the ice age, of an ice age, when Pangea was a thing. The Arctic Circle was another ice age, separate from the one during the Antarctic split. People don't realize climate shift is a thing that is unavoidable.
Yeah.
You cannot change it. Even if we went zero emissions all around the world,
it would still shift.
Today.
Well, look at it this way. We have an equator for a reason. Why is that area so much sometimes more humid and more humid than others? Why do we have
it's
dry
the hottest
climates?
part on Earth.
Why do we have dry climates? Why do we have humid climates? I've lived in both. Why do we have ice? Why do we have, this is how the world works. This world has been working long before God put people on it, and I believe that. But I won't go religious or anything. But I'm saying, this world has survived way worse than man, in my opinion. And if we fuck it up and we're all in sometime around the future, we're all gone, this world's still going to survive.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? A lot of people give this movie a lot of shit, but I think Ultron had a good point. When the Earth starts to settle, God throws a stone at it. And believe me, he's winding up.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to throw an asteroid at us. We were supposed to have an asteroid hit us in 2001, I believe, but that fucker blew up a mile above the ground. And if it had struck the ground, it would have completely destroyed Alaska with a good chunk of Canada, and possibly even made its way down to the top parts of the western coast of the U.S. But the thing is, we now have the ability to detect these things. I don't know about having Armageddon style defenses against asteroids, but hold on one moment.
Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bruce Willis isn't going to do shit if we have an asteroid coming to Earth. He's an actor, and while I absolutely love his take, but while I absolutely love Armageddon, Elijah Wood isn't going to be any help either with Deep Impact, and neither is.
Oh, you remember that trend back then where it was one movie would come out with.
Yeah, I remember that.
Things. Yeah, oh god, that was so popular in the 90s.
Well, here's the thing: they had Armageddon, and then they had Deep Impact. Armageddon was happy ending. Deep Impact was fuck your happy ending. We're gonna have this fucker hit.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, we're not gonna have the whole thing hit. We're just gonna break off a little piece and let it hit. And I'm like, you're still doing mass casualties. I love it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, they were not afraid to show the reality of what would happen if a fucking asteroid hit.
Yeah.
One of the things that
Greenland too, although it confused me. The world building.
One of the things that bothered me about
Greenland,
the movie,
but I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it confused me with the world building, but other than that, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
The movie that my wife likes and I don't was The Day After Tomorrow, because they made it seem like it was all man-made. And I'm like, I've said this before in a lot of things. Are you so arrogant to think we are that powerful?
Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. What they said, or in Day After Tomorrow, that wasn't man-made. That was actually them saying climate change is something that we could look into trying to help avoid. But the thing is, if this does happen, we aren't going to be able to change it. And I absolutely love one part in that movie where they're like, well, what do you expect us to do? Evacuate everyone under this line. Well, what about the people above them? I'm afraid it's too late for them. Well, and then at the end of that meeting, the guy's like, well, that's easy for him to say. He's safely here in Washington. His son is in New York City.
Yeah, I remember that because
he just basically written off his son, essentially, as a lost cause.
But he went and still went to go save his son because he's a father, just like I'm a father. And, as a father or grandfather, you'll go to the ends of the earth for your family.
Oh, that does kind of remind me of San Andreas.
I like San Andreas. I thought that was a fun movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a flood, and then dude tries to save his daughter and his wife, basically, and drives through a the rock like drives through a freaking tsunami like ass, and it's just like a crossing guard boat or something.
Well, the whole thing with that is you got to beat the wave. And then that's what all the boats were trying to do.
Yeah, I know. His character was like, it's like experts, like, okay, like this is what we do if this happens or whatever, and we need to get to higher ground or whatever. So,
yeah. Have you guys seen Jurassic World? How many of us have seen Jurassic World?
I have.
I have seen Jurassic World.
Near the end when
people keep freaking fucking up with dinosaurs, but okay.
in the end when Malcolm is doing his little speech.
Yes.
And it's showing the results of what happened because the animals got off the island.
Yep.
And the dudes doing their surfing, and well, what's in that humongous wave? Oh, shit, it's the mosasaur.
Yeah.
I'm like, the entire ocean is destabilized because that thing is out there.
Mm-hmm.
That thing would eat blue whales.
Yeah.
Also, they're doing, speaking of which...
remember what Malcolm said in Jurassic Park. And this is what I agree with. One thing he said: nature finds a way to
life
adapt.
finds a way. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, life finds a way. Yeah, exactly. Life will find a way. Somehow, they find a way, and that was really one of the best line. It took me 20 years to comprehend how prolific I thought that sounded, because it's like, yes, nature finds a way. The one thing about Malcolm has come off as the eccentric, kind of arrogant guy, but he's really, in my mind, the smartest guy in science on Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I absolutely love what he said in Fallen Kingdom. He's like, now, I know this is going to cause a little bit of ruffled feathers here, but I think we should let the volcano destroy the island.
Yep.
And everybody's like, well, and you are meant to cry because when you see that brachiosaur at the pier stand up just before the lava hits it, you are meant to cry because the animals are about to be poisoned to death in the garage of that big ass mansion and whatnot. But the thing is, these creatures, while alive, they were not meant to be put in these situations. Yeah. They were not meant to exist at all because nature gave, as Malcolm said, the dinosaurs had their shot and nature selected them for extinction.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going to go with that. Yes, dinosaurs had their shot, and nature selected. They got. Now, I have a different opinion on that because I'm more religious, but that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, but it still makes perfect sense. We had dinosaurs. We know there were dinosaurs. We know they existed. We have the proof to do it. It's scientific. And nature, or maybe he was wrong in that. Maybe it was nature. Maybe it was, happenstance. Maybe my God determined, I don't like this, I'm going to call it a day, which wouldn't be the first time my God has done that.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why I always say when people say, oh, I thought you were Christian and your God was loving, I'm like, have you ever read the Old Testament? I'm like, have you ever read the old goddamn Testament? Because my God was vengeful as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing, folks. Now, do not take this as a personal attack on any religion. Honestly, I see Christianity as a hodgepodge of several ancient religions all rolled into a monotheistic shell. Because who was very vengeful in Greek religion?
Zeus and Hera.
Yeah.
Zeus and
basically everybody.
Zeus would wipe a fucking country off the map if they pissed him off.
Heck, a goddess basically created Hera, the seasons because Hades kidnapped her daughter.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Persephone. You're talking about Persephone, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There are 7 circles of hell. How many times does the river Styx flow around Hades?
7 times. Yep.
Yeah. There are so many freaking parallels. And I've gotten into this with my uncle, who was a devout Catholic. I was also baptized Catholic, Roman Catholic to be.
Same here.
To be specific, I've read the Bible, the Old Testament and New Testament, and a lot of people are like, with the whole New Testament, I'm like, do you even know why they wrote the New Testament? Because they felt that the Old Testament was too dark. That's why they wrote the New Testament, because they figured, well, we can't have a God that's so angry. Have you seen what nature can do?
Well, like I said, history will agree with you there.
From the Old Testament, and this is something that I will remember all the days of my life. God, after he flooded the earth and Noah did his thing, God said, I will never do this again, even though humans are inherently evil from birth. It's like, so you created an inherently evil species?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing. He gave us free will.
Well, I wouldn't say it's unfortunate. It's like, okay, you guys got free will. What are you going to do with it? Oh, fuck, you guys are stupid.
Well, it's like Benjamin Franklin said when the
Constitution was written.
Yeah,
a woman asked him, "What did you give us?" A republic. If you can keep it.
It was. When they did the article, some people don't remember. We had a constitution of sorts prior to the Constitution. It was called the Articles of Confederation, but it was very, very weak. And they created a new constitution, and then Benjamin Franklin comes out and it's like, what government did you create? A republic, if you can keep it.
Yep. That woman asked, what'd you give us? A republic, man. If you can keep it.
Yeah, if you can keep it, you can keep your republic. If not, I think nowadays that would have been like, well, that would have been in modern terms, it'd been like, well, we gave you a republic. It's your choice to figure out if you fucking want it or not.
Hey guys, I'm probably gonna have to get going here, but I appreciate you having me on the stream here.
You're very welcome.
Actually,
no problem.
Yep, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Take it easy, G-Fan.
Take care.
Take care, G-Fan.
Thanks for coming.
Yep, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Now,
Wyatt, nice to meet you. Orange Hat, good to see you. I was actually, he kind of beat me to it. It's 10:30 here.
Yep.
I got to get to bed, get my kids ready for school. My wife's got work, and she's laying in the bed. I'm here in the den, and she might be able to hear me. So,
all right,
I'm gonna crash out here. It was great seeing you guys. Nice to meet you, Riot. Orange Hat.
Nice to meet you.
It is always a pleasure to hang out with you, bud. And yeah, like I said earlier, yeah, man, I do get to watch your content. You're one of my regulars. I watch on content, and man, you put up some great stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as always, everyone, peace and long life. Live long and prosper.
Bye.
Yep. Now,
and then number 2.
Yeah. Now to go back to what NB Geeks was saying, folks, I am going to put a link in the chat if you want to. This video is years old, but it is still, or it's 7 years old actually, come this March. But if you really want to get into the government and stuff and ask yourself, what kind of government do we really have right now? Well, this actually will answer and put to bed a lot of myths about far right, far leftism and whatnot. So yeah, that link there, right here, is called Republic versus Democracy. What is the real form of U.S. government? And it's very important that people actually do watch that video because it does a good job explaining it. Now, I am gonna start winding this down because I've been going for about 3 hours.
Wow. Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I haven't been talking much, but
I know you're doing your drawing. I can hear the scrapes.
Yeah.
And I do want to thank everybody for coming in. NB Geeks, Rosetta, G-Fan, Riot, Norris in the chat, CJH, NB Geeks, and so many others. Kamen Rider. Who else?
Duke Notice.
Yep, Norris. Lovely Sherry. Thunder Duck. I almost called it something totally different. Who else? And yeah, that's it. I want to thank everybody else who may not have said anything. I also want to thank Captain Trek for coming in. His abrupt leaving. I hope everything was all right. But yeah, I do got to get some sleep because I got to be up at 1 a.m. to put wood on the fire. Because yeah, we have a wood stove here. So Riot, you have a good night. And anybody, again, if this will be put in the random stream playlist. Thinking about doing more of these, but before I do go, come mid-March will be the return of Versus streams. Season 4 of Versus streams will be coming around mid-March. So definitely keep your ears out and eyes out. I will be doing or starting movie discussions come the beginning of March. So, and they will be series, and we are starting with the Tolkien movies, Hobbit extended, and then Lord of the Rings extended. So I will be getting panelists ready for that. And if you guys want to join, they may be a little longer because of how extended these movies are. They are 4 hours long for most of them. So yeah, I have a person helping me out with the thumbnails. That is awesome.
I just got the dynamics done for the drawing. That's why I've been erasing and stuff. Like, what the fuck do I draw for this? Oh yeah, you got my recommendation, right?
I do believe I did.
Yeah.
What was your recommendation again?
Oh, is it Dandy Man versus Gambit?
Well, let me check. The Dandy Man versus Gambit. Oh yeah, I did, and actually, I believe I did. Oh yeah, that was, or is that one a recent one, or no, that wasn't. But I could have sworn. Let me check. I don't think I did put it up here, but let's see here. Versus streams. Dandy Man versus Gambit. Card Players Anonymous.
Card Players Anonymous.
And Riot gets a spot on that one.
Yay!
But yeah, here's the ones that I got so far, folks. Terminator versus RoboCop.
Cool.
Aragorn versus Jamie Lannister. Beowulf versus Achilles. Alexander the Great versus Hercules. John Wick versus Jack Reacher. Videl from Dragon Ball Z versus Sakura from Naruto. Elvira versus Morticia Adams. T-800 versus Predator. And Dandy Man versus Gambit. So
that sounds like a pretty interesting lineup.
Oh yeah, I mean the Elvira versus Morticia is obviously going to be more of a not a parody, but kind of like how I did Black Widow versus Black Widow and Captain Marvel versus Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It's going to be who did the hot, sexy goth babe better, you know?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep. And so with that, I am going to end the stream. Thank you again to everybody who attended and who joined.
Good
Riot,
night.
hope you have a good night and hope you have a good week.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Hope you have a good week too.
Same here. And hope so. Everybody, thank you so much for joining and have a good night. And always remember to stay humble.